Yep, third for Panis, so D'Amato fastest, Frentzen second, Panis third, and the next man out in a moment will be the Minardi of Justin Wilson. Just looking at a couple of replays there of Olivier Panis's lap. Ted, what can you tell us?
Well, James, just on Justin Wilson, they're really upbeat at Minardi this weekend. They really feel that they are fighting the Toyotas, and they reckon they can really beat at least one of them. It looks okay so far. I was actually watching Justin in practice. He made a few changes to the car, but none of them made him go much quicker. It's a weird characteristic of that Minardi.
I admire his confidence, but he just doesn't have the speed to do that. If they're any better than last but one on the grid, I'll be surprised. They're sliding all over the place. I was out on the track watching this morning, really fighting that car, oversteering, not enough rear grip. It's all about downforce. When you've got downforce, you've got balance, you've got confidence, and it's amazing how downforce squashes out the bumps too, and you can get away with different suspension settings. And the Wilson then already a second down at the first sector. I think they'll be well onto the tail end of the grid, unfortunately.
It just looks like he's having to work much harder at the wheel than the other drivers. He feels not to fit into the, looks as though he doesn't quite fit into the whole thing. The car doesn't fit around him as well as the other guys. It's much more agricultural, the work he's having to do, isn't it?
Well, he's having to be reactive in the way that he's driving, and he has to wait and see what the car does and then take the appropriate action behind it. So you're always a little bit behind the game. Nothing you can do if it won't stick. Now through the early part of the swimming pool complex, there's the big oversteer we were telling you about earlier on. Just not enough rear grip, but through that part of the racetrack, put it on your list today, your must-do before you die list. Come and see a Formula One car going through there and Casino Square if you haven't already done so. It's absolutely brilliant.
It beats the pants off seeing them anywhere else, I can tell you that. It's beautiful to go to any of the great racetracks like Silverstone or Monza and sit in the grandstands and soak up the history, but to come here you can get almost within touching distance of the cars. The shattering noise, the mind-blowing speed, especially now that they've opened out corners like Sandevot. You just got a glimpse of it there. You can see they've taken the roundabout away there. They've made that corner much easier for the drivers. Also the exit of the swimming pool has been changed, and the entry to the Ras Kass, which is much more open as well. A lot of people complaining they've taken away some of the challenge of Monaco, made it a circuit that almost anybody could drive around, but certainly standing by the side of the racetrack, I know I for one could never get a car around here.
And here we go. This is a replay of the oversteer. It was oversteering before he got onto the curb. It wasn't even like it leapt off the curb. Yes, I do believe they've anaesthetized some of these corners, Sandevot being one of them. It's not the challenge it used to be. Still very fast, but that barrier, triple barrier on the inside as your point you were aiming at, was massively intimidating. Now it's barely a painted on curb, but they had to put a cone on the inside to stop drivers from cutting it completely. It's a shame. I sound like a sad old geezer in rose-tinted glasses saying that it was always better in the good old days. But you know, it is definitely less intimidating. If you make a mistake around here now, you have 2 or 3 chances of getting away with it, whereas in the past you never got away with it and you had to drive the weekend accordingly. The difference that's making, James, is the drivers are taking more risks, and that is why it's so mind-blowing watching them take the speed into the corners. Down then to the chicane on the seafront, and old piece of tarmac again, quite bumpy into Tabac, and you have to be very careful as you're looking left for the corner that you don't wander off to the right and just graze the barrier on the way in.
Well, Verstappen certainly didn't take the risks that Wilson did through the first part of the swimming pool. Second part of the swimming pool fairly tidy as well. Into the Ras Kass, you can see it's much more open on the entry than it used to be. That was a place where all the rookies used to nerf the barriers on the first day, and nobody did it here this year. Verstappen goes across the line. Has he beaten either of the Toyotas? No, he hasn't. He's fourth, just ahead of Wilson. So D'Amato fastest, Frentzen second, Panis third, Verstappen fourth and Wilson fifth. And Pitstonia will be the next man to go.